Okay, so this is the actual page that we will create, and as you can see, it's got some nice 3D graphics. Then we have some sort of header that changes color once we start scrolling. When we get back at top, it once again changes the color. Then we have some sort of simple call to action section of this website. It's fairly simple. Then we have our services. Once again, you probably want to change up those text and icons and stuff like that. So this is just a template for you. But yeah, it looks kind of cool in my opinion. Then we have the testimonials, which is kind of a slider that we implemented by ourselves from scratch. So we are not using any sort of library or anything like that. We are just using pure JavaScript in order to implement this thing. Then we have our themes section. So a simple, very simple free articles, free post that have some sort of social links, headings, and some punchline about the person, and maybe even learn more button. And lastly, we have a footer with the contact page, so with the contact form that you can use in order to contact the person. And yeah, so that is about it. That's the page that you are about to create. Okay, so I've already prepared a main.css file. In there I got some colors, predefined colors that I already looked up. It's basically a black background color, some primary color, which should be like blue, and then we have a white color. Then we have a folder called image, and inside of this image folder we have some sort of a lot of images. But we'll mostly use this one, the background2.png. So this is the main kind of image for the main page. Then we will also use this one, I think. But yeah, so a couple of images, and I will tell you in a minute where I got them. So let me actually start out by actually creating a new file called index.html. So inside here we will write everything that we need, and let me also open the CSS so that we can edit both of these kind of simultaneously. So let me just close the Explorer so we have more space, and let's get into it. So I will just create a new HTML tag. You can define the language if you want. You probably won't, but for now I will just skip this part and leave it up to you. So let me just define the title, which will be my profit template. Oh, excuse me, gotta close this tag. And inside here I can write, so my profit template. And then we also need to define the body text. So inside here I will just type body, and inside here we will write everything that we will see actually in the document. So it's easy as that, and let me just reload the page, and as you can see there is just the title. Cool, so let me just start out by actually importing the Bootstrap. So go to getbootstrap.com, click on get started, and it should take you to the documentation of the newest Bootstrap. In here you can just simply copy paste this link, and it will automatically kind of import the Bootstrap into your project. So right now we have imported our Bootstrap. We also want to link our style sheet, so our custom style sheet. So link relation style sheet, like this, and we also want to define the href to it, so basically the path to our main.css. Okay, so let's just save this thing, and let me also just copy paste this thing, which is basically those JavaScripts that are used for like the menu items and stuff like that. So let's just copy paste them at the end of our body. Okay, so there they are. So cool. That's basically everything from Bootstrap that we need. Right now let's also import font awesome for the icons, and inside here I think this link should work. It should take you to basically a option that you can use to actually copy paste the font awesome, right? So you don't have to download anything, you just simply copy paste it into your project. So Let's just once again define a style sheet, and let's just make the href for it, and let's just paste this thing. And we should have a font awesome icons in our project right now. So let me just check this thing out by just typing a simple font awesome check whether it works. So we should be able to see really small check in there. There it is. So cool, font awesome is imported successfully. Alright, so we can simply close this tab, we don't need it anymore. And also make sure to go to the documentation, but for the version of 4.7.0. Okay, so the font awesome documentation, but this version. Cool, so let's also import the fonts. So we will use just Google Fonts. And let me actually import the Open Sans. Yeah, let's use Open Sans for this one. So we will need the regular. We will also need this bold, definitely. But I think that should do it. We may even want to use the extra bold. So I will just import it just in case, just to be sure. So I will just use this link and paste it right here. Okay, and that should be our font imported. So yeah, let me just actually start out with the actual body. So here we go. Let me just import some navigation. So already predefined navigations from Bootstrap. So Bootstrap already have in his documentation some snippets, some code that you can actually use. And yeah, it's as simple as just copy and paste it. So I will just copy this one. Paste it in here, and let me just remove this form because we don't need it. Alright, so this is, let's get rid of this, and let me also remove this thing. So the drop down, we don't need drop down, and also the disabled link, we also don't need this. Let me just copy paste a couple of these here. Like this, and also we need to, if we reload the page now, we should get a navbar. Okay, but this is aligned to left, so let me actually align this to right by typing justify content end. I think it should do the trick. So if I reload the page, okay, it doesn't. Okay, so we just need to, let's get rid of this. I noticed it right now. So we have in here, we have margin right auto, so that means it will be just pushed all the way from right. So let me just change this to margin left, and it should do it should put basically all of the space to left. So if I change this and reload the page, as you can see right now, it's on the right side. So cool. Let me actually put the navigation inside a container. So diff with the class container, we want to add some space to it. So around those, so that it isn't like directly at the edge of the screen, we want to put a bit of margin, and the container will do just that. So if I reload the page, there should be more spaces, right? As you can see, there's more space around it, and it looks much more cool in my opinion. Good. So yeah, let's just actually move on to the hero part, and then we can actually style it a little bit. So inside here, I will just put a comment saying that this is a header, just to be sure, and I will just collapse it. And let's just move on to the hero section. So let's just type hero, and let's just start the section. So section, once again, HTML5 tag, and let's just give it a class of hero. And that should be cool. And I think, okay, let's just try it this way. So if I just put a image in here with the class of image fluid, which basically means that the image will take all the available space in the section, which is basically everything on the screen, and we can add some alts to it. We can just say the source to be the image that I just imported. So inside here we have the images, and we have the background too. Let me just close this thing, and let me just reload this thing and see. Okay, it looks cool. So good, we will just use it like this. And another thing that I need you to do is, this image wasn't made by me, and I've imported it. You can use it for free, but you need to attribute the person who created it, right? So you can simply click on this free download, and then there is the link that you need to copy and paste inside your project. So for example, in the footer. And another thing is that when you download it, you can get a SVG file that you can actually edit out. I've edited this image, right, so that it looks, in my opinion, better. But that's really my personal opinion. But you can edit it out however you want. So for example, get rid of this text, or for example, write something else in some sort of editor like Inkscape, for example, which is once again free. But yeah, with that being said, let me just go right here and type the footer, and let me just paste this thing, or just create a new diff inside there with the class called how is it called? Attribution. Okay, so let's just give it a class attribution, and inside there I will just paste the link that I just copied from there, okay, which is basically just linked to that page, right? Nothing horrible, right? If you just, pretty much none of the visitors will notice this. They've usually just want you to share the link so that they have better SEO, okay? But yeah, anyways, so we've used the background that I just downloaded from that site, okay? I've edited it, and we will use it in here. Okay, another cool thing that you may notice is that we need to make this navbar fixed at top. So fixed top. Save this thing, let's reload it, see, okay, so you can see that the background actually moved up, which is correct. So let me actually just get rid of this backgrounds and stuff like that in the navigation. And yeah, currently you can see the background behind it. We will style this later on, so don't worry about it. But yeah, this is pretty much it. So let me just add a new div with the text. So I will just call this hero text. We will style it in the later on in the CSS, and we will have just some sort of h1 heading, and there should be something like your name, whatever, and I will just put a line break so that it looks cool. Okay, so if I reload it, it's right here. We need to save this. We need to actually change this thing. Let me also add some padding to this, because we will add a border to it later on. Okay, so I think it's about time we start with modifying the CSS a little bit. So first of all, we want to change the font family in the whole body. So inside here, I will just go to body and actually change this to the open sans. So let's reload this thing, see how it looks like. Okay. I don't know whether there was any change, so maybe the browser is caching things out. So make sure that you open up via F12, you open up your developer tools, go to networks and disable the cache, right? And then you can reload and see whether there's change. Yeah, there it is, right? Okay, so it's much different, the font right now. So this was probably the problem. So then we also need to define some styles for the headings that we will use. I don't think we will need more headings. So we just want the font weight of these to be actually 700. Let's reload the page, see how it looks like. All right, there we have it. Cool. That's about it. I think that we maybe can try for the H1 to have the font weight of 900. And we can change it later on if we are not happy about it, but I think it will look cool. Alright, so let me just actually get rid of this. And yeah, so let me actually style out the header, let me actually start out with the navigation. So navbar, and wow, cannot type, and navbar, and yeah, we also need to actually change the text right here. So we can change it to, for example, I don't know, profit page, whatever. We can maybe add some span, or we don't have to. All right, let's keep it this way. Let's see. All right, there we have it. Right now, I would, in the navbar, actually change the we can do it differently, but maybe this will work. We can change the text transformation, so we can just text transform and make it uppercase. Okay, so let's see whether that will work. Yeah, here we have it. So we've just made it, this whole thing, uppercase. Let me also take the navbar brand. Okay, so navbar brand, so basically the logo, and let me just style it a little bit. So let me just add the font weight to it. It should be like 700 probably. Let's see how that looks like. All right, it looks much better. Right now we can maybe even add what font styles we've imported. I'm not sure actually, so let's just take a look. We've imported 400, 700 and 800. Alright, so I think 400 should be by default, but just to make sure that it works everywhere, we will just put it in here implicitly. Okay, but I think it won't change. Yeah, shoot. So yeah, it works. Cool, let me also change the color of the text, and it should be the black one, which is 222, like this. And let's reload and see how it looks like. Alright, it doesn't work. Because we have a links there. So let me actually change the style of a link, and let's see whether this will work. Okay, there we have it. So changing the style of a link actually works for this. Okay, we can maybe even add the size, so font size. Let's see how changing, oh sorry, not this, the navbar brand. Let me see how the font size will affect the navbar brand. Let's try something really big. Let's see how that would look like. Alright, it's quite large, so I will just use something like 1.2. That should do it, in my opinion. I would prefer smaller heading rather than something large, but this is too small, so let's just go with 1.5. Okay, I think that this is somehow ideal. Alright, so that should be kind of our header. I think that this looks nice. And let me also make the, let me currently do the hero section. So hero, and we have the background in there. The background looks cool, so we don't have to change anything about it, but we need to change the hero content. If I named it hero content, let's see, so let's collapse this, hero text, sorry. So hero text, and let's just put the position of this to absolute. And let's just put it at top of 50%, so basically at the center, and left will be 50%. And we also need to do transform, transition or translate, and then we need to do minus 50% and minus 50%. That should do it. So let's see whether it's at center. All right, there we have it. It's directly at the center of the page. Okay. Yeah, all right, so I think that the hero, so we also need to make the hero, we need to make this position relative, so position relative, and let's see how it looks like now. Okay, currently it works. So we need to make it needs to be absolutely positioned towards this hero section, because otherwise it would be positioned towards the whole display, right? So we don't want that. Okay, but this will work. Maybe some of you are wondering why we need this thing. Let me just show you. If I remove this and reload the page, it will be somewhere down, right? It's here. Why is that? Well, because this thing has some width and height, right? And basically, if we set these to 50% and 50%, it means that the top left corner will be placed at the at the center, okay? But it also has some width and some height, right? So we need to actually move it back so that it is positioned, so that the center of this element is positioned at the center, okay? So that's actually what this thing does. It basically takes the whole element and moves it 50% up and 50% to left, right? 50% of the width of the whole element. And that will basically do the trick, okay? Cool. So right now, let me actually define the font size. And I would put something like huge in here. So for example, 6 rem. Let's see how that looks. Okay, we actually need to style the h1 heading. Because we won't use h1 anywhere else, we can just do it like this. Okay, right now it's quite large. But I think it looks kind of cool. I like it. We can make it once again uppercase, so text transform uppercase. We can maybe make it a bit smaller. Let's see. Alright, I think it looks kind of cool, so let's use this. We can make the color, we need to change the color to the white one. That will look cool. And let's also add to this element a border. And this one should be also 1 pixel solid, and it should be also white one. And it should look cool in my opinion, so there should be like border around it. And yeah, it kind of does. It kind of looks cool. We can maybe move it up by a little bit. So I think that this should be this one, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so the first one is to left, the second one, so the first one is on x-axis, the second one is on y-axis, which kind of makes sense, right? So yeah, let's see, that's too much. Let's just move it by 60%. That should do the trick. You can maybe edit out the background so that it actually fits better to the screen, but I will just do it like this so that it is faster for the video. I think that this looks actually quite cool, so I will just leave it this way. Yeah, cool. Let me also, in the navbar, let me just style the navlink, and let me actually add some font weight to it. I think that it should actually have a bolder text. Let's see how that would look like. Okay, I think this looks better, so I will just keep it this way. Okay, so actually let's just move on to the call to action part. Okay, so underneath the hero, we will just create a new comment for the call to action. Call to action, like this. And we will create a new section. And we will just add the class of dark background. Yeah, I think this should do. And then we will have a new div with the class container, so that we have a bit of space around the page. And then we have another div with the class of row, and we need to actually make the announcement. So on one part, so let's say just div with the class of call, let's go even with middle. Alright, so even on tablets it will be styled like this, and let's say that it will take 8 parts of the 12, and there will be the text. And on the other part, so div with the class of call middle 4, so the remaining third will take the button. Alright, so this should be middle. Cool. And inside here, let's just create a h2 title, and maybe we can add a class to it, so something like dark title. And that's kind of funny. But anyway, inside here we need to type something like call to action. And then underneath this, we need to have some paragraph. So I will just use lorem ipsum for this. So lorem ipsum generator. Google, yeah, let's use this first link, whatever, and let's just generate. And it generated some lorem ipsum for us. And let's just use maybe something like smaller, so let's just use this thing. I think it should do the trick. You obviously want to put something, some of your own text right here, but okay, I think this will do just fine. Let me actually add some space. So yeah, let me reload this and let's see how it looks. Okay, it looks cool. And on the other hand, we will have the other remaining part of the screen, we will have a button with the class, or we can even use like link. That kind of makes more sense. And we will style it as a button, and it should be button main. Let's call this one. And inside here we will just type get started or something like this. And yeah, we can maybe even add some icon to it. Obviously we want to define the href here. So href, and you want to put some link to it. I will also add some icon to it. It should be something like an announcement icon. Let's see. Alright, this one, bullhorn. Alright, and let's just copy paste this icon right into our project in front of this text. Okay, so that we have the icon and then the text. There we have it. Looks cool. Good. So we can maybe add even some margin at the top. So let's just go with 4. Let's see how that would look like, so that it is styled. We can maybe go with 5. So margin top 5. So that it is basically somewhere around the middle. Yeah, this looks kind of cool. Let me also add padding to this part. So this one should have the padding on y-axis of around 5, so that there is a bit of space. Okay, yeah, there we have it. Maybe 5 is too much, but we will see. We can always edit it out. So let me just go into the CSS and style this thing a bit. So we have the call to action. And in here, I probably forgot, I would like all of the headings to have the text transform uppercase. I think it will look better if we keep this consistent and make every heading uppercase, so like this. Cool. Let's just try to experiment with this and just add, make it even bolder. Alright, call to action. I think this looks better. So I will just use this. And yeah, let me just style this part. So this was called dark background. And we want this to have the background color of the black one. And let's see whether that, how it looks. Cool. There we have it. And we want this to have the color of everything to be the white one. Like this. Let's see right now how it looks. Oh, there we have it. Looks kind of cool. Another thing that we need is to actually make this more interesting. So let me just add a span to the heading. Alright, like this. And let me just close this thing up. So this one. And span. So that's like inline elements that have no semantic purpose. So if I reload it, nothing happens. But we can style it out in here, and we can use just the dark background. If we have a span inside the dark background, it will have the color of blue one. So the primary color. Okay, let's go with that. I think it should look cool. Let's see if I just close this and reload this thing. There we have it. It looks cool in my opinion. I will just keep it this way. So let me just style the button. So this one was button main, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just make this, let's just add the background color and let's just make it the blue one. Let's see how that looks. If we can see, all right. Let's just change the font size. I think this should be, this should have much higher font size. So font size, okay, font size. Wow, like this, and let's just make it 1.2. Let's see how that would look. Okay, obviously here needs to be N. Let's reload this thing and see. Okay, this looks much better. This looks much better. So let's actually go with this. Maybe we can also use the text transform to uppercase. So let's see how that would look like. Get started. If we make the text bold, right? So if we make the text weight, so sorry, font weight, if we make it like 700, it maybe can look cool when it is like this. Yeah, I think it looks cool. Let's go with this. We can maybe add some more padding to it, but I think it actually looks kind of cool as it is. We can maybe just put a bit of space to the icon. So inside here we have the icon. We can just do margin right of around 2 so that there is a bit of space between the icon and the text. Yeah, that looks cool. Okay, I think this looks actually nice. We can maybe just edit out the hover effect. So with the button main, if we hover over it, let's just say that the background color will be the white one and the primary color will be as a color. So color will be the blue one, in other words, our primary color. And let's see if I reload this thing, hover over it, there we have it. I think it looks cool. So let's just go with that. Yeah, the same thing should probably go for those links. So let me just go up here and define the hover. So a.hover. We want the color to be the primary one. So the primary one like this. And if I save this, reload this thing and see, okay, it looks much cooler. Good. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about this header. We will fix it later on, right? There will be a background later on. We will just add it via JavaScript. So don't worry about it now. Let's just move on to the other section of this page. So this was the call to action section. We are done with that, and let's just move on to the services. So services section of our page. And let's just define a new HTML5 section. This one should be bright color, and let's just give it a services class. I'm not sure whether we will use it, but yeah, anyways, we will add some padding to it. We will add padding on y-axis of 5 to every section so that we are consistent with this. Then we will add a diff with the class container. Like this, and that should do once again the trick of keeping things in line. We will add some heading. This one should have a class of section heading, and we can just type in here our services. Let's see how it looks like if we reload this thing and go here. Okay, it looks cool. We can maybe put this into a span. So once again, it can be blue. Okay, so like this, and wow, I'm not sure whether we can afford to keep these services. Okay, I will just do it this way. We can maybe edit it out later. So what I thought about was just removing this dark background and just keeping every span will have this color. So I will just remove it, put it in here, and reload this thing, and it should be blue. Okay. and it works. We didn't use span anywhere else, but you kind of have to keep in mind right now that if we used span somewhere else, it will have blue color, so we would have to change it later on. But cool. That's about it. So right underneath, we can just add some div with the class of row, and inside it we can define our services. So each of our services will be HTML5 as a article, and we will have a class of, let's see, of call large 4. So we will have 3 services per line. Then inside it, I will create a new div with the class of padding 3, let's say, and with shadow. So this will be inside as we will have our actual content. And then we can actually maybe even divide this into a row. Let's see how that would look like, whether this would work. Well, yeah, let's just use one div more, so it is more clear, the code. So then inside this we will have a row. So once again we will split this small part of our row, right? So this 1/3 of our row, we will split it once again into 12 pieces, and inside it we will have some icon. So this will have a call even on small devices. It will be let's say 3, okay, and then we will have the text, and the text should be on as a 9. And let's just see, we probably want to change this so that it displays the same way on tablets, but let's just reload this thing, see how it looks like. Okay, there we have it. So really nothing too interesting. So let me actually in here add a div with the class of displayFlex. So the idea is that we will have an icon, and the icon will be placed in the middle of a element, and we will use displayFlex for it. If you don't know how it is used, you can just go to the documentation and just type in flex, and it will show you basically all of the things you can do with the displayFlex. There is a lot of stuff that you can actually do, and it's pretty cool. It can really save you a lot of time. So I will just use this, and I also need this to have the height of 100%. And inside it, I will have another div with the class of margin on X should be auto. So this should take care of the so that it is on center on the x-axis, and we also need to do self-align or align self-center. I'm not sure. Let's try self-align center, and we can change it out later on if it doesn't work. So let's just save it and fix the typo. So align self-align center. Not sure. We'll see. So anyway, okay, like this, and let's just add a icon with the class of fa fire. Let's use fire. It should look cool, and let's just reload this thing and see how it looks like. All right, it's there. We have it. It's centered as a. I think it's in center, so that's a good sign. Let me actually see by just adding in here a new div with, once again, some more padding, probably. I think that we want to use some more padding in here, so let's just use padding 3 in here, and then we want to have some text, so h3. This will be our service, and some basic description of it. So I will just copy paste some lorem ipsum. It should be something like this, yay long about. So let's see if I just save this thing, reload this thing, and see how it looks like. All right, there we have our services, and it isn't working. There's something definitely wrong. All right, so this is obviously not inside the row. We need to put it inside the row, so that's one mistake. Let's see how it looks now. All right, there we have it. So our service, okay. Wow. So this should be, let's just use align self-center. Let's just try it this way. Let's see. All right, there we have it. It's currently aligned at center. We may want to use, actually, we may want to do this a bit bigger and this one a bit smaller. And this padding is probably too large, so let me just go with like padding 1. Let's see. All right, that looks much better. Cool, so we can style it. We can style it actually in our CSS, and then we can just copy paste it. So let's just go down here and let's go to the services and let's just style it a little bit. Okay, so we have some article. Wow, I think that we... Alright, this one should... Wow, what is happening? So this one should get lost. If we save this thing, it should be just fine. Okay, this one is closing this one. Yeah, so sorry about it. There was some sort of mistake with the closing tags. Currently it should be fixed. So let me just add a class to this thing. So this one should be service icon. Let's just go with that. So service icon, and we can style it in here. So dot service icon, icon like this, and inside here we can just go with background color being blue one, and let's see how it looks like. If we reload the page, there we have it. All right, so there is a bit of margin at the end for some reason. Yeah, that's probably because of this paragraph. So let me just go ahead and type in here services, and I want the every paragraph that is inside to have no margin. So margin will be just 0, because by default there is some margin added. We don't want that, but there's still some problem. Let me just go ahead and check this thing. It should have the height of 100%. So let me just go ahead and open up the developer tools and check this thing out. All right, so we have the element here, and then we have this one, and it works just fine, but we have some padding around this one, and we want to change this thing to margin. Alright, so if we change this P3 to M3, as you can see, it looks much better now. So yeah, let's just do that. So instead of P3, we want to have a margin around this, and I want definitely in here to have the padding on the x-axis smaller. Let's see how that would look like. Let me once again check whether there is added some sort of margin to these things. Okay, there is definitely margin. So this diff, alright, so this one have padding on it. So if we want to remove padding, we can just type in here padding 0, and that should do it. So if I reload the page, there should be no padding, right? There it is, and it looks pretty horrible. So let me just add some padding actually. At least like padding of 2. Let's see. Okay, that looks much better. And inside here we probably want also some padding. Wow, but we are pretty much where we started, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, let's just go with this. I think we can maybe make the text a bit smaller. Maybe the heading can be just service, like this. That might look better. Right, just service. But yeah, let me just style the icon a bit. So inside here we can just type in here service icon, and just target the icon that is inside, and just make the font size of it like much larger. Let's just go with 4. And let's reload the page. It should be, maybe that's too large. So let's just go with 2. So basically half the size. Let's see. Okay, that looks much better. And let me actually make the font size white, or font color. So color, let's make it white. I think it should look better. Like this, and semicolon, and reload the page. Let's see. There we have it. I think it looks better. So let's just keep it this way, and we can maybe add a couple more of these. So let me just copy paste this. So inside here we have the article, and it's just basically one of these. And let me just get 9 of these in total. So let's see whether I counted correctly. There we have 9 services of ours. So yeah, it looks cool in my opinion. So let's just go with that, and let's just close this section because we are done with these services. Okay, so let's continue by adding the testimonials to our page. So I will just copy paste this whole thing because it will be pretty much the same thing. But only this time we want, instead of the button or instead of the link, we want to have a image. So I will just put a image in here. Obviously we want to define some alt. I will just keep it empty. I will add some class to it. It will be image fluid. So image fluid, once again, it will take up all the available space. And also I think we can make it rounded. So we can make it like circle, okay? And let's also define the source. So I'm not sure whether you can actually see it. This should be better. So let's define the source. This should be image. And let's just make it like some person. So person 1. Let's go with that. So yeah, this is basically our testimonial. And let's just say in here, this is what I don't know who Jean or like Ava thinks, and this things should be blue. Let's just go with that and let's see how it looks like. So inside here, okay, probably Ava is a bad name, so let's just go with Peter. And inside here is what he thinks about our service. There is a huge image. I would probably make it smaller. We will make it smaller in CSS. And yeah, let's also add the font awesome kind of quotes. So we have inside here, if I search for quotes, I think there should be like quote open and quote end, or quote left. So quote and yeah, quote right, quote left. So let me actually just copy paste it. So quote left, and let's just put it at the top of our paragraph, and let's just add some margin right to it of at least 2. And also let's just use the FA quote right. So let's just go quote right, and in here is the code that we want to just simply paste it, and let's just put once again some margin, but this time we need to put margin on the left side, right? So margin left, and let's see how it looks. There should be some quotes around it. There we have it. It looks cool in my opinion. I would keep it this way. And let me also style the image while we are at it. So okay, let me just go ahead and style pretty much every image that will have the circle class. All right, so basically every image that will have the class of what is it? Rounded circle. So every image that we want to be displayed as a circle will have the width of let's go with 125 pixels, and the height of the same way. So like this. We need to use the object fit cover so that it works for every image. And Yeah, let me also add some border so that it looks better. So border, let's go with 3 pixels solid and the blue one. Let's see how that looks. So if I reload the page, it should get much smaller. There we have it. I think it looks cool actually. We can maybe add this border a bit larger. We can make it like 5 pixels. Let's see. Okay, I think this looks cool. I would keep it this way. So we will actually make a slider from this. So we will do it via JavaScript. But everything that you need to know for now is that, yeah, let's just actually take this and put this all into a diff that will have the class for the JavaScript. So inside here I will have just slider item. So for the slider, we will target it then in the JavaScript. And let's also add to this one the active slider item, like this. And let's just close this thing. There we have it. And let's just copy paste this whole thing inside, like this. Cool. So this is one of the items that we will be displaying in our slider. And let me just copy paste these two so that we have 3 of them. And let me just change the images and the text. So this should be person 2 and this should be person 3. Let's just reload this thing. We should have like 3 of these. Cool. And let's just change the names also. So this one should be Ava. And this is, let's say, wow, this is, let's say, Paul. And let's save this thing. Let's reload this thing. Okay, there we have it. I think it's cool. So let's just remove these active slider items from those last 2. Because we want only one of these items to be active, actually. So this shouldn't do anything just now. But inside the main CSS, if we go down here to the testimonials, okay, we just want the slider item. So everything that have the class of slider item, we want to be displayed as a none. So we want this to be hidden, and everything that have the class of active slider item, we want all of these to be display block. So these will be displayed. So let me just remove it, reload this, and there should be only one of them. There we have it. Cool. The other ones are hidden, and we will then do it via JavaScript, and we will just make them rotate. So this should be cool, but we will handle it later on. For now, let's just move on to our theme section. So let's go here and let's just close this thing, and let's move on and make a comment called theme, and we will have our theme in here. So this should be once again a section with the class of theme and with the padding on y-axis of 5 so that we have some space around it. Then inside we want to have a div with the class of container, so like this. And then we want to have a div with the class of row. So once again, divide into 12 pieces, and then inside those 12 pieces we will use thirds, right? So we will use like col mid 3, or sorry, 4. my bad. Let me actually wait a second. Did we use here? Let me just check this. Didn't we use? Yeah, we used 4, so it's cool. Okay, let's get back. So we will use col mid 4. So at the middle display we will use third of the screen, and inside here we will have some sort of article, and this article will be our post or our teammate, and this class should say something like it should have a shadow, and it should have some padding to it, so padding of 3, let's say, and or no, we don't want any padding to it, because we will have a image in there. So inside here we want to put a image with the class of image fluid, and some alt and some source. So the source should be some person, so let's just go with person1 here and close this thing. Let's see how it looks like. So if I reload the page, we should have, there we have some person. Cool. And let me also at the bottom just add some diff with the class of team content, and this should have some sort of heading, so let's say h3, and this should be just John Doe and maybe some sort of punchline. Let's just add it, and we can maybe even add some button. So let's just actually use the button from the dark, so from the call to action. Let's just use this one, and so copy paste it to save some time. And let's just change this to learn more, and let's just get rid of this icon. It kind of doesn't make sense here. So yeah, let's just save it, reload, and see where we are. There we have John Doe and learn more. Alright, in here we definitely want to add the padding, and we want to add some text to it. So I will just once again copy paste this thing. This thing, let me just put it in here, right here, and save it, reload the page, and let's see how it actually looks like. We have definitely a lot of space here, so we don't want that. Let's just remove this class. But yeah, otherwise I think it looks cool. There we have it. Yeah, we can even use this kind of hover effect. I think that looks good. Yeah, we forgot about our section heading. So inside the container, I will have our h2 with the class of section heading, and we will have our and span team. And let's just see how it looks now. We should have a heading in there. Okay, our team, cool. We can maybe add some margin to this, margin of 3. Let's go. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, we want the margin to be only on y-axis, so sorry about it. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. So let's go with this, and let me actually add some other team members. Or no, we first want to also add some social links to it. So let's just go in here and type in here a diff with the class of social links, and we can maybe just put in here team social links, so that if we use some social links in the footer, it's not styled this way. So in here we can just have a links that will have some sort of href. I will leave it up to you, and inside the href we will have the icon that will have some class, so it should be like fa Facebook, I think should work. Let's see if I close this thing up. We need to close this, so okay, like this. Let's see if I reload the page, we should have a Facebook in there. Okay, there we have it. So let's just copy paste it so for the other social networks, so Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So instead of here, I will just put Twitter. Instead of here, I will just put YouTube. And let's reload the page and see how it looks. Okay, there we have it. So we will just style this later on, or we can maybe style it now. Yeah, let's style it now. Why not? So underneath this, we will have just our team. And in here, we want to style the team social links, I think. Was it links or icons? Links. Good. So links, and we can just add some background to it. So background color, and this should be the black one. Let's go with this one, and let's also make the position absolute. So instead of relative, we want this to be absolute, and we want this to be somewhere at top, but somewhere at right, in the top right corner. So let's just do it like this, and let's reload the page, see how it looks like. Okay, there we have it. Looks cool. We can just add some overall padding to it, so let's just do it this way. In here I will just add padding of, let's see how it would look like if we add 3. That's probably too much. Yeah, that's too much. But on the x-axis it's probably not that big of a deal. We can maybe add the padding to these things. Let's see how that would look like. Okay, so there we have it. Yeah, that looks better. So let me just add the padding to all of these. Like this. And in here, let me just add the overall padding of 2. Let's see how that looks like now. Alright, there we have it. I think it looks cool, so let me just also change the color of this. So I want the icons to have the color of white by default. Because it is inside a link, it's currently styled as a black text, but right now it looks kind of cool in my opinion. I think let's actually change this to A, and let's see whether that would work. Okay, there we have it. But if we hover over it, it actually doesn't work for some reason. Whoa, why it doesn't work? We are probably, yeah, let's just, instead of trying to solve this thing, let's just use it like this, because this is one line, so it won't kill me. So like this. That's probably not the way to do this, by the way, but yeah, it works now. And also the top, let's just make it smaller, so let's just use like 10 pixels in there. So that is, yeah, it looks much better. So cool, I would just go with this, and let's just copy paste these things. So the whole call, so let's just copy paste this so that we have 3 of these. And let's just change the, let's just change the person to this to be the person 3, and in here it should be person 2, but otherwise it will just stay the same. So yeah, that looks cool. I will just keep it this way. We can maybe add it to the bottom, the social links, so that it isn't over their face. Yeah, so let's do that. Let's actually change this to bottom, and let's see how that would look like. So if we have it, alright, we have it right in there. Let's see. If we go to our code, okay, yeah, let's just keep it up. So let's just keep it at the top. You could change it, but you would have to put the image and this thing inside a div, make it relative, and then style it this way, but this just seems like too much work, and I think this looks pretty cool as it is. So let's just go with this, and let's just move on to the footer, so the last part of the web. And we already defined the footer tag right here. So let me just close this our theme section, and let's go to the footer, and inside here I will once again add div with the class of container, and this one, the footer, actually can have the class of dark background, like this, and some padding, so padding on the y-axis of 5, and then inside the container we can just once again define a new div with the class row, and split this into 2 rows, or into 1 row, but into like 2 halves. So we will use 2 divs with the class of call, even on middle devices, or no, on large devices, 6. And underneath we will have the same one, and this one, instead of diff, we will just use form, because this will be a contact form, so we will just use form. It's just simpler. Wow, form. Okay, cool. So in here we will have some sort of heading. We can maybe use like heading of level 2. Yeah, let's just go with heading of level 2, and this will be footer logo, and this will say, how did we call this thing? Profit page. Wow, that's a cool name. So profit page it is. And then underneath we will have some text. So once again, lorem ipsum. I can just copy it from here. That's just simpler, and paste it. Let's see, cool. And underneath we can have some social links. So let's just once again paste it from our themes. So inside here, let's go to themes and let's just paste it. So copy, close this thing, and paste it in here. And this shouldn't be theme, but footer. Cool. And let's reload the page, see how it looks like. So underneath this we have the logo. Then we have our actual link, and we can maybe make the logo more interesting by just doing this. So Profi, and the page should be blue. This should look it should look cooler in my opinion. Good. And then we can add the social. Oh, there they are, but they are black. So let's just change this in the CSS. So footer, and inside here we will just change the footer social links A, and we want this to have the same. We basically want this to do the same thing as here, so I will just add it in here. And once again, I will just add it in here with the hover effect. So let's just save this thing. Let's see how it looks like. If we reload it, there we have it, our social links. And yeah, it looks cool. So let's just go with that. And on the other part, we will have our contact form. So we will just have some sort of basic input with the type of text. You obviously want to fill in ID, names, some checks, other stuff. I will just keep it blank to save some time. I will just add some placeholder. So this should be like your mail, whatever, your mail. And let's just copy one more. So your mail, then we will have like your name, and then we will have like text area. Once again in here we will have some placeholder. And this one should say like your message. And in here should be name, whatever. That's up to you, right? You can edit it out. So let's see how it looks. It should look terrible. Yeah, there it is. It looks terrible. So check. And let's also add the button from the call to action section just to save some time. Now I'll just copy paste it. So from call to action right into footer. You can maybe use it as a button. That's up to you. However you want to use it. It should probably be button, but I will just keep it as a link. And just to save some time, and let me get rid of the margin. And let's reload the page. We should have pretty nice button. There we have it. And definitely we don't want this. Let's just change it to mail. If there is some sort of icon like this. Of course there isn't, so let's just go here and find something, some cool icon that we can use in the button. So mail, and yeah, envelope. Okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense. So envelope, and yeah, I think the button is styled pretty nicely. So that looks cool. Yeah, let's style the inputs and the text areas. So we want in the footer, we want every input and also the text area we want to style them right here. So we want them to have the width of 100% and the font size of, let's go with 1 rem. Let's also add some padding to it, so let's just go with padding of 0.8 and rem and 1 rem. And let's just reload the page, see how it looks like now. It should look much better. Okay, there we have it. Okay, it looks, in my opinion, much better. We can maybe add some margin to it. Once again, you probably want to do the padding and margin stuff in here, but just to save some time and just to show you that it still works, I will just add some margin at the bottom, just using the CSS, so margin at the bottom of like 0.5 rem. Like this. Let's see, there should be a bit of space. Alright, there it is. There's really, maybe we can use a bit larger, so let's just go with 1. That should do it. And also we can maybe yeah, I think it looks kind of nice, so I would probably go with this. We can maybe add something to the end of this part, so at the end of this we can maybe add some other paragraph or some sort of address of the person. So that's up to you. I will leave it up to you if you want to do that. So let's just move on to the JavaScript. Okay, so let me just start with the simpler part, which is the header. We want this header to actually have some background once we start to scroll, but we don't want it to have a background when we are just staying in here at place. So in order to do that, we can simply just go, whoa, I just forgot about the attribution, right? So let's just change this. Let me just go back and let's see, there should be some link. So we want to put this inside of this, and we want this to have the text center attribute, and let's also add my attribution. So diff with the class of yeah, attribution, and also text center. And let's also add some padding to it, so padding of 3. Yeah, and inside it I will have just some sort of paragraph saying that made by me and copyright 2020, all rights reserved. Cool. And let's reload the page, see how it looks like, whether we can actually see it. Yeah, we can see mine, but we cannot see the links. So let's just go inside here and let's just type in footer, and every link that's inside, I want it to have the color of white, or let's just go with the blue one, and let's just make it important so that it isn't overridden by anything, because it should be dark. Yeah, there we have it. So currently it looks fine, but we have a problem. Let's just go with the white one like this, because otherwise we would have a problem with the button. But once again, this should be a button element, so yeah. But okay, there we have it. Looks kind of cool in my opinion, so let's just move on to the JavaScript. So underneath the footer, we will actually start a new script tag, and inside the script we will actually just have a function, right? So window have basically on scroll, that's just a window element. So basically you can imagine your window. When it detects that you started scrolling, you can define something called callback. So basically a function that will get to be called, and inside here you can just call another function. So for example, let's just call it handle scroll. All right, so we will define a new function in here. This one will be handle scroll, and inside here we will actually handle the scroll, and we can check if the document, and there are a couple of things that you can do with the document. You usually want to do the document element dot scroll top. So scroll top, this thing, and you want to check how far it is from the top, and if it is greater than 0, so that means it's somewhere here, right? You started scrolling. You want to do something with the header. So let me, for this purpose, just add a ID to this. So ID of this should be header, and we will target this element, right? So inside here, I will just go ahead and just type document get element by ID, and this should be the header one. So header one, and what I want to do is edit the style and the background color like this, and we want to set it to the FF, so to the white one. And let's just close this thing and let's reload the page, see how it looks like. So if we start to scroll, nothing happens. Let's see whether we are not cached. So let's reload the page right now, and okay, we don't see anything, so something is going on here. Let's just go ahead and check out the console, whether there is some sort of error. Okay, there isn't any. Wow. And let's go ahead and check out the element. So yeah, we don't have the style in there. Otherwise it would say style of something something. Okay, so if I start scrolling, it's getting called. The function, the callback, is getting called. So we get to this point, but we have problem with this thing. And after some Googling, I've noticed that Google Chrome changed things up, and you should, instead of document element, use body instead. So right now, if I reload the page and check it out, it works. Okay, so there we have it. It changed the background color. So let's just remove this thing, and let's also do the else branch, because right now when we start scrolling it's correct, but when we go back it stays white, so we need to change it once again back to transparent. So if we go back, we want transparent, so transparent like this, and let's see whether that works now. So cool, we got it. If we start scrolling, cool. If we get back, it start. Yeah, so it looks nice. That's probably handled. So cool, let's just move on to the slider. So here, and let's just handle the sliding, which is a bit harder part to do. So hopefully we will get it right. So let me just first of all define a function called sleep, and this function will do basically whatever it's supposed to do, right? How would you expect a sleep function? What would you expect it to do, right? You would expect for the code to wait for some time that you pass in, right? So for example, like millisecond times, right? So inside here, I will just return new promise. This is maybe a bit more advanced stuff in JavaScript. So I won't explain in detail what is happening. You can just check out the documentation, or maybe just look at promises. But if you are new to programming, I wouldn't recommend it. It's a bit more advanced stuff. So inside here, I will just put response and the time like this, and this should work. And so yeah, with the sleep, we can just define a array of those items, right? So slides, let's just call them slides, and we want to be sliding over all of those. We want all of those elements that have the class name of slider item. Okay, so we want all of these, we want all of them in an array. Okay, cool. And then we want to slide over them. So I will just define a function called slider. Okay, I forgot. Like this, called slide, or whatever, however you want to call this. we will have some sort of index of the slide that we want to be displayed, and then we will have also the slides array. Alright, and inside here I will just use the slides array, and I will use the index to actually get to the slide that I want to address, and I want to actually edit the class name, and I want to set it to slider item and active slider item, right? Because that's how actually that's basically the class names of this item that is displayed, right? And we want all of the others to be displayed as a we want the other, or the previous one actually, to be displayed as a none, right? So to have the class name only slider item. So, but we have to check if the index is equal to 0, we must change the last one, and else we just want to change the previous one. So a slides on index index -1, so that's like the slide before, right? We want to remove the slide before and display the slide on this index, okay? And we once again want to address the class name, and we just want to add slider item in here like this, and that's about it. And inside here, if we have the index of 0, what's the element before it? Right, it's actually the last one, right? The last one. So we need to address it via a slides.length -1. So that's basically the index of the last element, and this way we will remove it. All right, then what we will do is use the sleep function. So sleep for, let's say, 3 seconds. All right. And once we are done sleeping, then we will use this lambda function, and this lambda function basically will call itself. Okay, so we will just call the slide with the e index +1 and the array of slides, right, like this. But we need to check if there is a end, right? So if the e index is the last element, right? So if it is equal to the a slides length, so the number of those elements, of those slides that we have, -1. So that's basically, if we are currently at the index of the last element, we want to say the index, we want to set it to actually -1. And then we will call this with 0, right? Because -1 + 1 is 0. So we will start sliding again. And in order to start it, we can just type in here slide with the element of number 1 and the array of slides. And let's just see whether that works. So if I reload the page, let's just wait a couple of seconds. Okay, it probably doesn't work. Okay, so let's just, okay, so obviously there is a typo, and these things, this should be the same, so like this, and there's a typo, but never mind that. Also this function should be async, so like this, asynchronous, and let's reload the page. Let's see how it looks. Still nothing, so let me just check the console, and it says that we have undefined reference a slides. So it is in the promise, so it has to be somewhere around here with the a slide. Okay, I see it. So this must be like this, and let's reload the page and see. Okay, so stupid typo. But anyways, it seems like we are done, because we are done. It seems like it's working. We are sliding over those items. If we would change the text, it would slide over it as well. So yeah, I think we are done. And that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one, or feel free to write me down in the comment section if you want to see more videos like this one. And yeah, I will see you next time.